What's going on? It's your boy Twan Beatmaker. In this video, I wanted to give you 3 tips on how to mix and master your beats better. So, tip number 1 is learning how to EQ your instruments. That's the number 1 thing you want to do is learning how to EQ your instruments and understanding how to EQ your instruments. The reason behind EQing your instruments is to where you're pretty much manipulating the frequency levels on each instrument. So, for example, if one of your instruments is really bass heavy, which is on the lower end of the frequency scale, and pretty much your bass is in the same kind of frequency level, or a lower frequency instrument is in the same category, your beat is gonna sound super muddy because they're fighting for the same space or whatnot. So what you do with the EQing is you take out the levels in the bass range, in the lower level of the part, cutting out the bass in that particular instrument which was bass heavy, but you're cutting it down. It makes the beat sound clearer, and it's not fighting, the instrument's not fighting for space or whatnot, so which makes the beat clearer. Same with higher frequency instruments. Maybe you have 2 of the same instruments going at the same frequency levels or a little higher, and it can pretty much clash with each other and it won't sound good. So what you want to do is use your EQing, use EQing to pretty much just mess with levels and make sure everything sounds up to par or whatnot. So that's one thing that I noticed is that really helps is EQing your beats or whatnot, man. Learning how to EQ your beats. Second thing is this might sound apparent, but second thing is not redlining your instruments at all. Not even through the individual tracks or whatnot, individual mixer tracks. You don't want to redline your beats at all. It's better to work low and then compress your beats, and have a higher going up, not working high and compressing your beats or whatnot to make it lower, because that's nightmare by itself. It makes your beats sound muddy. It don't sound clean at all. So that's number 2. Do not redline. And what I mean by redline is, just to elaborate more about it, is that if your beats is too high, so the redline means it's peaking. So it means your beats is way up there and it's hitting pretty much the ceiling of your mixer channel or whatnot. You don't want to do that. You always want to make it low, start low, and then go up. So low and then up. So that's tip number 2. Don't do that. Number 3 is where's number 3? Is panning your instruments. Learning how to pan your instrument the right way is really key on not having another way to not have your instruments fight for space or whatnot, man. For example, like my hi-hats, I usually pan my hi-hats a little bit to the right, just slightly to the right, so it sits in the pocket, so it sounds good over, on top of the beat or whatnot, man. Same with different instruments, like my main instruments, one of my main instruments, for example, I'll probably turn it a little bit to the left. I might turn another instrument a little bit to the right, or far, all the way completely to the right. So it depends on you and how you want to do it. Or even another example, I pretty much use an instrument where I duplicate, so I put one instrument all the way to the right, and I duplicate the same instrument and I put it all the way to the left. And it makes it sound fuller. So in different ways, there's no rules on how to, mix and master your beats or whatnot. It's all about experience, in my opinion, and whatnot, man. But there's little tips, can probably go a long way, if you don't, didn't know about them, already. So I hope that helps you, helps you out in some way or whatnot, whatever have you. If you have any problems or questions, you can just email me back, and I'll get back to you as soon as possible. And but yeah, thank you. All right, peace.